Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am doing a video about portfolios today. I have spent the last 2 days at the D&AD Youngblood Festival doing portfolio surgeries with tons of students. So I thought that this would be a nice way to kind of put all of the things into like a video. I want to start this video by acknowledging that all advice is subjective. Everything that I know is from my own personal experience. With illustration, there's so many different ways of having a career, of making money, and as long as your portfolio is true to you, I think that that is the main thing at the end of the day. I know that when I was at university, I had people who were looking at my portfolios and one person would say, take this piece, it's the weakest piece, and another person would say, leave that piece in, it's the best piece. So all advice is subjective, and there's so many different people that have contrasting opinions. It totally depends on what you want to do with your career, and because there's so many different things and avenues of ways to make money as a creative. So now the acknowledgement is out of the way, I want to start with the kind of overall advice I would suggest to every single person in any kind of creative field who wants to make a portfolio. So only put projects in that you want to be hired for. Don't put stuff in that just for the sake of it. Put stuff in that you really, really love, that you really believe in, that feels like you. Only have finished projects in. And if you have stuff that you really love that you want to put in that's not finished, finish it and put it in. Make mock-ups. Put things on. If you have a book cover design, don't just put the flat illustration in. Superimpose it onto a book. Make the book. Mock-ups are a really show that you don't just think about your image, but you think about where its context is, and also the step afterwards. I would also encourage everyone to do personal projects. I spoke to some of their mentors and asked what their opinion was, and across advertising, graphic design and illustration, everyone kept repeating personal work. Personal work really shows your personality and shows what you're interested in, and it also shows that you aren't waiting around and you're being proactive. Stay true to yourself and really make it easy for a client or a potential person that wants to hire you. Spell out on your portfolio. So if you want to get into book cover design, make sure you have book cover design in your portfolio. If you want to do packaging, make sure you have patterns or your illustrations actually wrapped around a product. The work that you put in your portfolio is work that you want to be continuing doing, the work that you want to be hired for. So now I want to get into the different ways of showing your work. So at D&AD, the last 2 days, we saw mostly printed portfolios. I would definitely say it's good practice, but in my personal experience, I have never been asked by a client ever to bring a printed piece of work, a portfolio. I did buy like this box that I'll like put up on the screen because we were really encouraged as students, because I was a graphic designer, and when I was being interviewed as a graphic designer, I bought this really super fancy box, and I did really think it helped. But with illustration, I've never ever had to bring any printed material. A lot of the stuff, like most of my work comes through Instagram, everything I get emailed for. So I do think that it's really good practice. It just depends on what your uni is really asking for. Personally, when it comes to printed portfolios, I don't like in plastic. I have to kind of like move my head to like make sure that I couldn't get the gloss. That's just me, because I really don't like shine. I don't like glossed things that are printed in gloss. I'm a matte person. I think the work looks better in matte. I can't think of any other people that I know who are illustrators that have printed portfolios. The only time I think I heard someone who, when she had a meeting with a potential agent, she brought her printed portfolio. But I think that if you're stuck if you have no budget, I'm just saying from my personal experience and the way that I work, I've never, as a client, has never ever asked for my printed portfolio. But when I was a graphic designer, that was every time I have an interview, I would bring my printed portfolio. So it just depends what you want to do. Just listen to other people and their experience. Definitely have a PDF. So a PDF portfolio is really important because this is what you will be emailing out to people. I'd say keep it short. Personally, I think I like 3 to 4 projects in mine. I understand that art directors are really busy and they get so many emails. You also want to have a description with everything all the time. Have a title, have what it is, so maybe an animation, editorial, and then put brief, a sentence, and then outcome, another sentence. Have it in the same spot every single page, and just keep it consistent and let the work shine. The next portfolio and the way of showing work is a website. Every single person should have a website. I know it's money, and that can be like a difficult thing to bite the bullet with. I would not print a portfolio. If you're an illustrator, I would save money on the printed portfolio. If you have to do it for uni, figure it out, but invest that money into your website. There are so many options now. There is absolutely no excuse for you not to have a website. Back in the day, people figured it out before there was Squarespace, before there was Wix. So you have no excuse, basically. It's easy. You don't have to code it. And it's just a professionality that I think if you go to someone's Tumblr or you go to someone's Behance and they don't have their own website and you're just being sent to that page, personally for me, all the advice that I got at the beginning was like, you just have to be, if you have a website, if you have a domain, like I have nat-b.com, it just gives you that extra professionality. You don't want someone coming to your page already thinking before they've even looked at your work. You want the work to really like speak for itself. I just think it's the best thing. Like, you don't want someone to be already making a judgment of you before they've even looked at your work. Again, I would say the same thing as the PDF. Make everything really clear, make it really easy for the client. Have a description about your work in the same, I mean, you can have it all in one paragraph. I still now today, when I update my portfolio and my like PDF portfolio, I send it to my creative friends. Like, I think it's so important to stay in touch with your uni mates and your creative friends and just get feedback on your portfolio all the time, because it's so hard to, in your like head where you've seen your work 1,000 times, to sometimes see it with fresh eyes. Okay, so the last final way of showing your work is Instagram and social media stuff. I would suggest Instagram. So for Instagram, for me, in my career, it acts like my shop window. Some of the feedback I got from, and I've always had from students when it comes to social media stuff, is there's a few things. One is it takes a lot of work. Yes. Yes, it will. But there are ways to cheat the system in terms of making images out of your work. So I would suggest, I always have my week ahead planned. I know there's some people that even have longer than that. and they just spend a few hours and they make all of their images and pre-plan all of the things they want to post. Make it easy for yourself. If you only have 5 minutes every day, make sure that you can use that to your advantage. My illustration style came out of the fact that I didn't have much time to draw, and so my illustration style, which is very simple and minimal, came out of having very limited time. So use what you have to your advantage, and I think that it's such a free tool. And I know people say about like it's oversaturated and like social media isn't as exciting as it was like 10 years ago, because now we're all focused on like the negative parts of it. But I think it's a free tool where art directors live on Instagram, people that are hiring live on Instagram. Most of my work, like 85% of the jobs that I've gotten, have come through my Instagram. People that buy from my shop come through my Instagram. So if you really are at the start of your career and you're starting from scratch, I would really recommend it. I know that there's other ways of going about it. I've met people who got like agents straight out of uni and they hate using Instagram and they never will use it. And I think that works for them and it's fine. I think everyone has their own route. But if you're someone who's starting out and you're not got agents knocking on your door and you're kind of sat around like waiting for work, use the internet to your advantage, especially if you're not in London. I got a lot of people that have always said to me, do I have to be in London to have this creative career? No, you don't. With social media, you don't. You use that to your advantage, that you have the potential to have an amazing creative career anywhere in the world if you use the internet correctly. Just everything that you love in your portfolio should be up on your Instagram. I know someone who has had like 200 followers and got approached by Vogue to do some work for them. So it really doesn't matter about followers. I think it's such a useful tool, and I would really, really recommend it. And I know it can be scary to share your work on Instagram, but I love it because for me it's quite a relaxed place, whereas my portfolio is super like beautifully laid out and like I've thought really hard about like the construction of it all. But my Instagram is like a sketchbook for me. Like it's really rough and like I post just like what I'm thinking, and I think it's a really nice way to show your work and also get attention from people, and people know what you're doing and what you're about. I will very often get people who email me saying, I've been following you for 2 years on Instagram and I finally have the perfect job for you. So even if you are posting, you never know what will come of it. So other little pieces, valuable pieces of advice that I wanted to mention. I think the last 2 days and doing these portfolio surgeries, because I've never done portfolio surgeries before, it was more about just getting students comfortable with talking. Something like speaking as creative people is not necessarily something we're really taught. I think doing presentations at uni can help, but I think it's so good to get used to showing your portfolios, like show it to your friends, talk through your work to other friends. Maybe if you keep in touch with your friends on your course and do present your work to each other. Me talking like this, it took a lot of time and practice to get comfortable with talking about my work, and that came with just doing it and doing it. I saw quite a few people they said they were nervous, and when I was doing stuff like that, I was also really, really nervous. But you get over those nerves by just keep doing it and keep practicing. And I think it's so important to get comfortable about talking about your work, and letting your like a passion come through the way that you talk. Confidence is a big thing. I went round to a few of the other mentors and I wanted to get their feedback on what they thought, and confidence was such a big issue for me. I've kind of mentioned it in different videos as well. It's one of those things, it just takes practice. Someone can have amazing work, but the way they talk, it needs a little work. It's something that builds with time. No one is expecting someone who's just starting in their career to be this incredible confident person, and I think honestly that can kind of show that someone's got a bit of an ego and an arrogance about them, which I have heard other friends complain about interns that are a bit too arrogant. So look, it's a good thing that you don't have this big head, because you are starting out. Of course you're going to be scared, of course you're going to be terrified. It's a very natural thing. You're going from one step to another. Just work on it, read books about it, educate yourself on confidence, put yourself out of your comfort zone all the time. So in your spare time, work on the things that you feel like you could need some work on. But confidence will grow with time. It's one of those things that all the mentors were like, it's just one of those things that just takes time. Just by doing it and just by being in the industry, I wasn't like this when I was a student a few years ago. I was very, very shy. So if I can do it, I know that you can do it. Take advice from your peers, from your tutors, from other people in your creative spaces, no matter what field they're in. Listen to everyone, but at the end of the day, there's going to be conflicting opinions, and at the end of the day, you have to decide, because there are so many different routes. Like I said about Instagram, I know people that don't use it and they're fine. There are so many different ways of going into creative careers and different ways of making money that it is subjective. But I think the main thing with your portfolio is make sure you love every single piece. It really represents you and who you are, that you're putting work in there that you want to get hired for, and that everything is really clear. And make sure your website is easy to navigate through, that the pages don't take too long to load. Just make it really easy for everyone. And anytime you're like, change it, tweak it, make it better, good luck. I hope that was really helpful. I feel like it's so hard because there are so many different avenues, and so that's the stuff I know about portfolios, and I hope it was helpful. And stay tuned next week and there'll be another YouTube video. Please subscribe if you like this video, and I'm gonna go and open the window because it is so hot. Okay, bye. So the irony of this whole video was that leading up to the D&AD portfolio surgeries that I was a part of, I was so unconfident and felt like I didn't really know what I was doing. So throughout the making of this video, I also wanted to get some of my friends' perspectives on portfolios, and so I'm going to read a couple of what my friends have said. So Clemence, who is an amazing French illustrator currently living in Amsterdam, said, "A simple tip for a beginner is to do a fake project for the brand they'd like to work for. I realised that a lot of people tend to believe that only real projects deserve to be put in their portfolio, but fake projects are an awesome way to get hired by the brand you want, because they can already see what we can do for them." So that also leads into the personal projects thing that I was talking about earlier in the video, so I think that's also an amazing point to add. My friend Claire, who is a French illustrator living in Dublin, would say the same thing as well, as what Clement said. Only put the kind of work you want to be hired for, and if you don't have much, start personal work. So then my friend Lauren, who's Oh Hey by Lauren, said, keep your portfolio concise. Only show your best work or work you can really speak about. Have a reason or story for showing a specific piece. Tailor your portfolio for every place you apply for a job or internship for. It won't all be relevant to each other, but have a consistent feel across it all. This is my friend B. Davis illustration. Said this.
Okay, so I'm in a bar, but my portfolio was shocking, so I actually don't really know what to suggest. I just think with portfolios, like, I think the best thing is to keep it personal to you. Don't try and conform to what you think should be done on a portfolio, and make it fun, interactive. Like, it depends on your work style, I guess.
So B also said that she doesn't have a portfolio anymore and only has a website, which is like an online folio, and she tailors different PDFs depending on what client gets in touch, and that's the only way she works now. I think if you have many different avenues with your work, in brackets she's put still figuring things out, who isn't always creating something different, it's hard to create a concise portfolio, if that makes sense. So mini digital folios are a great idea. And then Eliza Hibble-Plates, who's an incredible artist, the advice that she gives is just that they have put in the work that they're most passionate about, and drawing. Everyone loves drawing, as in life drawing, landscapes, still lifes, people, etc. It seeps into all aspects of art and shows you that you have the most important skill to be an artist, which is observing. And then my friend Venus said,
yeah, I kind of agree with the other girls. I would say, like, keep it unique to you. Don't think that you need to stick to, like, the traditional standards of what a portfolio should look like. Like, be creative. I don't know, I came from, like, a fine art background, so mine was very contemporary. And I always remember that it was picking your 10 best pieces with some life drawing in the back. I don't know if that's still, like, what unis want to see. But yeah, that's what I would say. And yeah, just work that you can talk about for a very long time.
Also, my friend Zabby has said, the advice here already is really great. The portfolio should reflect you and the mind of work you want to get. A variety of subjects in the work I think is nice to see, but if their portfolio is mainly one thing and really strong, it doesn't matter so much. So yeah, that's all the advice from my friends. I will leave some links in the down bar. My friend Lauren did this great post about advice for portfolios. I also found a couple of things on It's Nice That and other things. So definitely look at the description, because I'll try and put as much helpful information out there. And I think I've basically covered it. If you cannot tell, basically the theme is just do the work you want to get hired for, make sure you love it, and make sure it's you. And yeah, I'm going to go now, officially, again. Thanks so much for watching, and subscribe so you can see more stuff from me. Bye!